Hello there. You're about to watch a very special episode of Hello from My Front Porch. Now, it's going to be a long one, and I know some of you don't like watching long ones, but I'm going to ask you to suck it up and watch this one. This is a very important one. I interviewed a friend of mine from Northern California who has battled with the wildfires out there firsthand through the loss of her home and the suffering of her family. And so I ask that you take some time, watch this entire episode, and please consider helping where you can. Hello again from my front porch. I'm talking to you from my laptop computer with the little webcam thingy and like my cell phone, because I'm actually doing a web conference with a friend of mine who lives out in Northern California, Destiny Tafoya-Higgins. Now, the reason I'm doing this is not just because she's in California and she has a really cool name to say, but because she is in the part of Northern California that was impacted by the wildfires. And when I say impacted, I mean impacted in a very big way. Her family's home has burned and there's nothing left. And to make it even worse, their insurance did not cover fire insurance. They did not have fire insurance on the home. And so they now are going to have to rebuild, and they have to come up with the funds to rebuild. And so throughout this episode of Front Porch, I am going to be putting on the screen, and I will put in the description for the video, links to 3 different ways that you can donate to provide funding to help this family be able to recover. Because again, Destiny is a good friend of mine, and I want to make sure that the Hello from My Front Porch viewers, that you understand just how significant this is, and also that you understand how important it is to help, because this is a problem that just isn't going to go away like that. They've lost their home and they don't have the funds to be able to just rebuild it, and they don't have insurance that will rebuild it. They need assistance, and we can do that. So I'd like to now introduce you to Destiny. And Destiny, I'd like you first to just tell me about your family. Tell me about the wonderful family that you have.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. My family are the coolest people you'll ever meet. We're a little bit of a complicated family situation. The family that lived in the house that burned down was myself, my ex-husband, and our 2 children. We have a 12-year-old daughter named Shaylin and a 10-year-old son named Colin. We all lived together because my ex-husband is disabled. He had 2 really debilitating strokes in 2016. And so we've stayed together as a unit so that we can raise our kids together and support each other as best as we can.
So in that situation, you even because your husband or your ex-husband had a debilitating stroke a couple of years ago, he's been in recovery mode ever since, and you've been there by his side, helping him through his rehabilitation and all of that, correct?
Yes. When he first had the strokes, he had to have his whole left cerebellum removed, and your cerebellum is your motor control coordination center. And so when you get your left cerebellum removed, the right side of your body does not communicate with your brain anymore. So they told us he would be in a wheelchair forever. He'd never feed himself, never walk, never talk. Pretty much he was just going to be living his life in a chair. But he worked so hard, and he was in rehab for a year. And he does walk with assistance. He does feed himself. He got to remove his peg tube. He's done way better than they ever predicted, and he worked so hard for it, and we're so proud of him. But he does still have some deficits because of that coordination issue.
Well, and I just, if that was the whole story we were talking about in and of itself, I would think that was inspirational on its own, that you were that willing to help him. And plus, I've seen the images that you've shared of the 2 of you going out to dinner and going out doing things, which is phenomenal for someone like him who has suffered what he suffered. I mean, that's a huge testament to his strength of character and to your support of him as well. So kudos to you just at that point alone. But now let's talk about the fire that's going on. As I shared, your house that you're talking about, gone, burned to the ground. I'm going to include some images, the very sad images that there is literally nothing left. It's not like it's just a little singed. There is nothing left of that house. And that has to be absolutely horrific for you to look at those images. Tell me about what that's. I know the first time you saw it, there was the video, the gentleman that was out driving around, that shot 2-3 hours of video of driving to the area, and he stopped by your house and got out and walked around it. That was the first time you saw, right?
Yes. So I have a friend in Cal Fire, and Thursday was the day that the fire shifted towards Shasta, where I live. This fire has been going on since Monday, July 23rd. So by Thursday is when it shifted towards Shasta, where I live. And at 2 p.m., I got a text message from my friend in Cal Fire with a photo of my home still standing. And he said, "Congratulations, your property is burned up, but your house is fine. We were so lucky we were able to stop it. This is great." And we all had this tremendous sigh of relief, and we were so excited. And then
Wait, so I don't mean to interrupt, but you're telling me that at one point somebody sent you image saying, giving you the hope that your home was intact, that it wasn't touched.
Yes, because at 2 o'clock when the fire first rolled through Shasta, it hit my property, so it burned up all my trees and my driveway, but my house was still there, and we thought it was done. So we were very excited, and we were having fun, and we went out to dinner, and we were like, wow, our house survived. And then at about 6:30, he texted me again and said, "I'm really sorry. You need to start praying, and start praying now, because the fire turned back around, and it's back in Shasta, and it's in your backyard, and we can't stay to defend your house anymore. They're pulling us," because he said the way he described it is that the ground was boiling because
Wow.
the fire was rolling around on the ground so hard that it looked like it was the flames were boiling. And at that point, it was already on my property, and they couldn't stay to save the property because it was putting the firefighters in jeopardy. So they pulled the firefighters out, and he texted me and said, "You're probably going to lose your house." Fast forward to Sunday, because we had heard nothing from that text was the last I heard. And then we couldn't get any information because the area burned for so long that they were not able to send anyone out there. PG&E couldn't even go out yet. And so fast forward to Sunday, when they finally opened it up to personnel, they opened it up to PG&E, to the local media, and that was it. That was the only people that had clearance besides fire personnel. And a local photographer named Dan Ryant was going door to door pretty much in the most affected areas and taking video for people so they could see the condition of their houses. A reporter had gone the day before, but he drove right past my driveway because I live up a super steep hill, and he didn't want to go up the side chutes. And so we all watched with bated breath and missed it that day. We didn't get to see it. And then Sunday, Dan Ryant went up there, and he drove all the way up the hill. And as he's driving up the hill, we see our neighbor who shares a driveway with us. His house was completely immaculate and untouched. So we got excited. But then as soon as he goes up the crest of the hill, right at the top, I saw my trees were gone. So I knew all my trees were gone. So I knew my house was gone. But then he went all the way up the hill, and it was just flat. All there is foundation, roof on top of foundation, and the chimney. And that's it.
So that, I mean, I don't want to state the obvious. I don't want to. Yeah, I'm not even sure what the words are to use, but I mean that had to be crushing to you. That had to be devastating. I mean, you expected, you were bracing for it. I saw your tweets. I know that you were bracing for the worst, but still, I'm sure it sounds like part of you is still hoping for that there'd be some miracle, and then you see the images and no, it's gone. I mean, that had to just be like all the wind let right out of you.
It really was. And this whole video was on Facebook Live. And so myself, my ex-husband, my boyfriend, my brother, my kids, my niece, we were all in the room watching together. And a bunch of my friends from all over were watching the live as well. And for some reason, my brother's speed was about 20 seconds ahead of ours. And the rest of ours were a little bit behind. And my brother threw his phone on the ground. And as soon as he threw his phone, I didn't even have to look. I knew it was gone because he tossed his phone. He was so upset as soon as he saw the house. And I'm not a big crier. I'm not as a human being. I tend to hold things together. I tend to rally. The noise that came out of me was not a human noise. When I saw it, I knew it was gone before. I knew in my heart of hearts, but there was that tiny little bit of hope. And hope in this kind of situation is a disease. It's painful. It's devastating to have that little bit of hope, because once it's gone, it's gone. And it just pulled the life right out of this whole room. We all were together. I have a California king bed behind me that we were all sitting on. And this whole room just we just were reduced to sobs. Everybody in the room was crying. It was just devastating to see. My kids were, it was just, you know, that's our home. That's my ex-husband's home since he was born. His parents bought it in 1959 and it was built in 1954. So it was almost brand new and we've had it ever since. And just to see it reduced to ash, like it was just literal ash and foundation. And it was hard to see, and we haven't been allowed back on the property yet, so we've not seen it in person because they're still working on all the power lines out there.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you'd had a chance to go back yet, but I guess that answers that question. Are you anxious to get back and see it and sort through the what's left?
I am. From the imagery, the only thing that we see that's left is a little Tin Man wind chime that my stepdad made for my father-in-law like 15 years ago, and it didn't get touched because it was hanging in our fig tree on the side of the property. I can see it in the video, so I really want to go get it because I feel like that's just kind of the totem of that household. It's all that's left, and I just want to go get it. And everything else is gone. All of our outbuildings are gone, so everything's gone. We do want to sift and see if maybe possibly anything at all. You know, we evacuated so fast that we didn't take much of anything, and all of the urns, Brian's grandparents and his parents' urns, are all in there. And so I'm hoping maybe they survived.
Wow. I did see what looked like a bunk bed. Did you have a bunk bed that in one in the visuals? It was just the metal and it was kind of melted and collapsed in.
Yeah, that was my son's bed. And, you know, 2 weeks before the fire, we had just bought him this special sensory bed because my son is autistic and he has a lot of sensory issues. And so we went and got him this fancy pants little sensory bed 2 weeks ago. And he did see his bunk bed frame in that video as well. And he was like, my bed is gone. And I was like, I know.
Wow.
We've got to save up and buy you a new one. I'm sorry. And
Wow.
they're sad, but they're handling it. So I'm so proud of them. They really are handling it so well.
Yeah, I have to say that again, I don't have a lot of experience of people who've gone through this exact situation, thankfully, I guess. But the images you've shared, especially of your son, I mean, they touch me very deeply. He's such a beautiful spirit of an individual, and I remember one of the first images you shared was the items that he chose to pack, and I just thought that was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen, because you posted the picture of the things that he had grabbed, and you said just how much you loved him for how adorable he was and how lovely, but describe for us the things that he had grabbed.
The first night of evacuation, I said, did you grab any pajamas? And he's like, oh, no, I didn't. And so I was like, that's fine. Maybe there's some shorts in your bag. And so I went and grabbed his backpack. And in his backpack, I have actually one of it right here, was this. This is Colin's blanket. He calls it his softy. And we don't go anywhere without this. This is his comfort. He's like Linus with his blanket. This is his softy. So he packed softy, which took up the whole backpack because it's a full-size comforter. And then he packed a penguin Beanie Boo and a little turtle mini Beanie Boo. And that was the entire contents of his evacuation bag. Those were the three things that were the most important to him.
Oh, that's so adorable. I mean, and I don't mean adorable just in a sense of, oh, isn't that cute? But I mean, like you just said, the three things that were the most important to him. What wasn't, we all, in fact, I've tried to put myself in the mindset of, what if I had a tragedy happen here at my house, where I'm the only one living here, but it's a full house full of stuff. And I'm kind of the keeper of the family museum, the curator, if you will. I've got family heirloom things here in my house. I've got this kind of stuff. And if I had something like this happening, what would I grab? What would be the most important things? And then I see the story of your son where he grabbed a blanket and 2 stuffed animals. And those are the most important things to him. And I just think that's so beautiful. And I think what great parents he must have.
He's extremely pure of heart, and I love that about him because it makes it easier because he's just such a sweet human being. He is autistic, so he lacks empathy. He's not able really to put himself in other people's shoes or to feel what other people feel. He feels what he feels, and he lives in his feels. But he's so pure that it's usually something so sweet. And that it just made me laugh. It made me laugh, and so I had to take a picture of it and share it with my friends on Twitter, because we need laughs as much as possible, as much as we can get them at this time, especially. And so that was one of the things that did make me giggle.
And right now, everything in your world obviously is a little bit dark and a little bit grim. So yeah, it is important to find the moments where you can laugh, where you can chuckle a bit, where you can find humor in things, or at least some joy in those moments. Let's talk about the rest of your family, though. Your fur babies. You've got quite a family of fur as well, right?
We do. I like I explained before, our living situation is a little weird because I do live with my ex-husband. I do have a boyfriend, and my boyfriend and I have pets together, and then my ex-husband and my children and I have pets together. So at the house we've evacuated to is my boyfriend's house, and it's a tiny, tiny house. It's half the size of the house we lost. And this house already had 2 dogs, 2 cats, 2 rats. At the other house, we had a big girl. Our Rukia is our 2-year-old pit bull Catahoula mix. And then we have a 15-year-old fat cat named Tiger. And he was actually 10 years ago in July of 2008, there was another fire in Shasta, a big wildfire, and it hit our property. So we were evacuated in 2008 for 10 days. And it didn't get our house. It just got the lower end. We have 3 acres. It got the lower acre. So Tiger has now been through 2 evacuations in his 15 years on this planet. And so now we have this completely full house. We have all these pets. Luckily, they all get along, so that's good. Tiger is old, and so he's really not, he's not vibing on being in a new house and a new situation with all these other animals because he's old and grumpy, but he's just been keeping to himself. But we got everybody out. We did get the fur babies out. Tiger was being resistant because he's cat, and that's what they do. So I had to yell at him a little bit to get him to come with us when we were evacuating, because I didn't want to. I broke my heart the idea of leaving there. We've had that cat since he was a kitten. Yeah. So, but we did get them all out safe.
Well, and you were reporting, though, and the reason I'm mentioning about how you've gone out of your way to make sure that all of your fur babies were accounted for and that they're there, even though you're in tight confines, you didn't sacrifice any of them. They're just as much a part of your family. But you were sharing that there were a lot of people who were evacuating that were leaving their pets behind. And I can't even fathom that. How could you just abandon your pet to a fire like that? That's horrible.
Yeah, I have been seeing it and reading it a lot, and it's I understand if it's your baby or your dog. I get it if you have to make, because one part of Reading was hit so fast that they didn't even get an evacuation warning. The fire trucks literally showed up to the neighborhood and were outside screaming, "Get out, get out, get out." And they were literally running away from the fire. So those people, I 100% can forgive them for leaving their pets if they had to. Get your kids, get out. But in our situation, we had 3 hours warning. 3 hours is enough time to gather your pets. I don't care who you are. And most of Reading, for most of this parts of the fires, has had at least 12 hours, or they were evacuated 24 hours before the fire hit. Most of them have got a lot more warning than we did, or than East Reading did. So those ones that are leaving their pets behind, because my feed all day long is cats whose paws and ears and faces are all burnt. And do you possibly know if this is your cat? Or a dog who shows up in someone's backyard all singed, and it just kills me. And we have a lot of livestock in this area, so tons of horses and cows and goats are being left behind, and it's heartbreaking to me. And I just was really glad I didn't have to make the decision to leave any of my pets behind. I had enough time. I had the 3 hours. I had enough time to get them out. It would have killed me to leave those animals there. I love them to death. So. Well,
obviously you've had, and I've seen in your Twitter feed, you've had people that have been saying things like, at least you're survived, at least you're all okay, and that is important. But I don't want to diminish the value and the importance of the home, and the fact that you're not in financial situation just be able to build a new house. And so there is a very real dynamic to the material aspect. But it is great. It honestly is very, very positive to know that all the lives that were in your home are safe. Now we just need to worry about helping you get your life back on track where it needs to be. And along that line, I mean, throughout this video, as I told people, I've been running I'll be running the video, the URLs, and I can, just for the Front Porch viewers, I can log into those things and I can see it shows who's donated, unless you say you want to be anonymous. It shows, so I'll be able to see if you donate or not, so I'll keep tabs on you. But in addition to all of that, though, you, Destiny, you actually have gone back to work. You actually are working to make sure you bring the income in, and you actually do, at least that I'm aware of, a couple of things. You have your daytime paying job, and then you also make soap, right?
Yes, I went back to work on Monday, the day after we found out our house was gone, because we have to pay bills. I have to feed the kids and feed the dudes and feed the pets. So my day job, I'm a cosmetologist, but I focus on nails. So I do nails. And then I have my side business, which is Destiny's Delectable Bath and Body. And I make soap, body scrubs, bath bombs, that kind of stuff. And I love doing that. That started as a hobby for me, but I love it so much. And I love sharing it with people.
And both of those places, your studio where you do the nails and the place where you do the bath soap stuff, neither of those were impacted by the fire, correct?
No, thank goodness. I don't know what we would have done if my businesses were at the house, because that would have really screwed us. We're even worse than we already are, because we already were tight budget as it was. My ex-husband's on SSI because he's disabled. He cannot work. And so it's already super tight as it is. And then you get all this negativity. I read on Facebook a bunch of times, well, if they were irresponsible not to have insurance, it doesn't work like that. The thing is, we paid that house off a couple years ago. So we have no mortgage. And if you're not mortgaged, you're not forced to insure. And we wanted to insure, and we had insurance, but as soon as the mortgage was paid off, the insurance company came and did a reappraisal of the house and a walkthrough. And they said, in order for them, because they don't insure, only one insurance company in Northern California will insure fire insurance in my area, because it's such a high fire risk area.
Because it's very forest.
They wanted us, but they wanted us to replace the foundation of the house. There was a crack in the foundation, and to replace the foundation was something like $25,000. We didn't have the money. We didn't have the money to replace it, and we tried every insurance agent in Redding, and everybody turned us down because of the fire risk. It wasn't just the foundation, it was the fire risk. They all said no. And so they kind of leave you like a sitting duck, because they don't want to insure you because they don't have to. And, I would have paid $200 a month insurance if I had to, but they wouldn't even give me the chance. I have a 15-year-old car that I still have full coverage insurance on, because I'm a responsible human being. It wasn't an irresponsibility thing. I love that house. We put our blood, sweat, and tears into it. And I worked hard for everything we had in there. I busted my ass for 15 years for that house, and it's gone. And now I have, you have this idea that you have to not only do we have to rebuild, we have to clear the property first. And to do that, we have to hire someone that's hazmat certified, because we're septic. We have a septic tank. So I just can't go in there and move all the debris myself. We can't do it. It's not safe. And so we have to hire someone to even take the dead house away. And so the prospect of all of that is very daunting. It's a very scary thought, that how we're going to rebuild, when we're going to finally get a chance to break ground, when we're going to do any of that is also up in the air.
So right now you've gone back to work doing the nail stuff, and I assume if you haven't already started, you will be starting soon on doing the soap and the bath bombs and those kind of things. But you're saying that is the stuff just to keep current on meeting the needs of your family right now, that's not even really going to put much of a dent in clearing the property, rebuilding the property, and those kind of things.
Right. Yeah. The money I'm making right now is going directly to feed and clothe my children. So it's like, we have bills. The house burned down, but we still have another place to live. We still got to pay bills there. a lot, and to get ahead is going to take me, it's going to take some maneuvering. For
So,
sure.
so obviously the nail salon, you have to kind of live in your area to come and do business with you. But for the bath bombs, things like that, can people order those from you that don't live immediately close to you?
They can. I have a Facebook page for my bath and body called Destiny's Delectable Bath and Body. I do custom orders. So if you have a custom scent or color scheme you want, I can manage to work that in there. I do custom soaps as far as whatever your skincare needs are, even so much as I make breast milk soap for babies for their eczema. I've made lotion with mother's breast milk for their babies, also for their eczema. So I can customize anything as far as that goes. There hasn't been a bath and body product that I haven't been willing to try if somebody's asked me to try it. So I'm super willing to do all that kind of stuff. I try to find the most cost-effective ways to ship as humanly possible, because I don't want to gouge anyone else. So I try to make everything as affordable as possible while still maintaining my business.
So in addition to, and this is not for you, Destiny, it's for everybody else watching. In addition to you making a contribution to one of the 3 ways that you can help this family be able to recover and rebuild, I would also encourage you to consider taking a look at her Facebook page, which I also will put that link, that'll also be up here as well, the link that she just gave us. Repeat it again what it is.
Destiny's Delectable Bath and Body.
Destiny's Delectable Bath and Body on Facebook. Put that link up here too. So I would really encourage you to also take a look at those things and see if you could place some orders with her for that, because every one of those will also help. The bath stuff will help her be able to take care of her family right now, and the donations to the other funds will help them be able to try to begin the recovery process from this. Now, let's move to the question that I'm sure by this point, if people are watching to this extent, they're probably asking, well, but FEMA is there to help. You shared some information about how FEMA works on Twitter. Tell us again, tell us here what it is that you've learned about how that process works.
So FEMA is a super great program, but it is a government-run program, so the time schedules on them is ridiculous. But so FEMA cannot release funds till the fire is completely out and all of the damage has been assessed. And then they will release a master fund once they've assessed how much damage is done. Right now we're at 39% containment. It is over 206 square miles of damage right now. We're at about 135,000 acres burned. So, and it's only at 39%. So who knows how long the fire is going to go, how long before it's all the way out and anything gets assessed. And then, so once the master fund is released, it is first come, first serve. So if you don't get your application in super duper fast, you're out of luck there. And they do have a program for un and underinsured people. And so I've been trying every day to apply for it, but they're not accepting applications yet. And so I'm hoping, but we've lost 1,200 homes here. And I know in Shasta and in Keswick, the 2 little towns that were completely decimated, my town and the town connected to us, there was a very large number of uninsured for the very same reason that I wasn't insured, and because we couldn't get it. So I'm hoping that enough funds are going to be released to help all of us, but there's no guarantee that that will be the case. And it's scary to kind of have, we're holding our breath and we're waiting. It's scary.
Well, because like you said, the FEMA isn't even going to begin to start looking at what the damage is and how much to release until the fire is contained. And right now, it's less than 40% contained.
Yep. And so we're waiting. And I don't want anyone to ever think that our fire personnel are amazing. We've lost 2 firefighters and a bulldozer operator to this fire so far. And I'm so appreciative. I lost my house. I don't care. I don't want them to die. I don't want any more of them to be hurt. And I just hope that they can get this under control before anyone else loses their lives or before anybody else has to lose their home. But this is such a wicked beast because the weather is so weird here. They said that this fire is, none of the fire personnel that have worked on this fire have dealt with a fire like this before, because it has just been a perfect storm of weather that's 110 degrees, way windier than it normally is here, plus almost no humidity. All those things together are a perfect storm. Plus the area that it hit is super steep, rugged terrain. So they have a lot of hard time fighting it because we have hills that are like this here. Like they are so sharp and steep. And so they're having a really hard time getting footing to do a fire. They haven't been able to do fire breaks really because there's nowhere in the fire lines to do it because we're in the mountains. So it's just pretty devastating, and who knows when it's going to be fully contained. And so we have to wait until containment, and then wait until they assess, and then wait until they decide, and then wait until they release. So it's just a bunch of waiting.
Well, and lest anybody be saying, well, you know, you have a house in the middle of a forest on a mountain, what did you expect? You said the house was built in 1954, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so it was built in 1954, and it's been there since 1954. And you did have at least one fire threat fairly recently, but on the property. But the point being that, what is that, 60, 70 some years that the property has stood there without having issue, and now this has happened. So it's not even a matter of, well, you know, you built in. Here in Iowa, we have people that build in floodplains all the time. And now they're told that, well, it's safe because it's only 100-year flood. Well, those 100-year floods seem to come like every 5 years. And so, you know, that's just bad planning. In your case, this home, yes, it was in a largely forested wooded area, but it had been there for decades without there being this kind of an issue. And now all of a sudden, like you said, perfect storm happens and poof, the whole area goes up. It's just terrifying. Now, let's shift to something a little more positive. You also shared that there were parts of Shasta that were spared, the historical parts.
Yes. So Shasta is one of California's oldest gold rush mining towns. We were a big deal during the gold mine thing out here. And so we have a lot of historic buildings in the main drag of Shasta. We have a bakery that was built in 1869. Next to it, a blacksmith shop, and next to that, a general store. That whole little strip was spared, not damaged by the fire. Across the street from there is the historical courthouse museum, and I'm talking historical to the point it still has gallows, the original gallows. So it's a big deal. That was spared. Our old schoolhouse, unfortunately, was not. Our old schoolhouse did burn, which was right next to the museum in the little park. We don't know if the Masonic Lodge, it's the oldest Masonic Lodge in California, and we don't know yet because we haven't been allowed back if that made it. We have got no reports on it. So I'm not sure if the lodge is okay, but I really hope it is. Our post office is okay, and our little corner store Jay's made it out okay. Our elementary school made it out okay. It got some damage, but it didn't burn down. So these are all things we're very grateful for. Our cemetery burned, but it didn't destroy the headstones. So we're going to go out in the middle of September. The whole community is going to go out and clean it up.
So that's a good segue, because I want to now spotlight. We talked about the tragedy that you have faced, and it really is horrible. I don't want to diminish it in the least whatsoever. And my heart really goes out to you, Destiny, and your family situation. Without even the fire, your family situation obviously has had struggles, but with this fire, just devastating. But now I want to talk about some of the really positive, great things you've seen, and even you have demonstrated. I watched on Twitter as you were evacuating, and you were sending out the message to others: if you need a place to come to, come here. If you need a place for pets, come here. If you need, that you were offering a refuge for other people fleeing, even though you really didn't have any room barely for yourselves, but you were saying, people need a space, we'll make room for you here. And you're seeing other examples of that, of the community rising to the occasion. Talk to me about some of the things you've seen there, about how this tragedy has really brought out that sense of community and for some people, the worst qualities, but let's talk about the best qualities of people that you've seen come out of this.
You know, the thing that's being echoed to me a lot is, why don't you leave? If you know it's a high fire area, why don't you leave? This is home. Shasta County is amazing. Redding is the bigger city that the tiny little towns are attached to. Redding is a population 100,000 city that feels like a town of 6,000. We all know each other. We're all interconnected, 6 degrees of separation type thing. when we have these tragedies, because fire is not new to us, this happens pretty frequently up here. It's just real stinking hot and real dry. So we pull together really, the sense of community we have here is amazing, and we pull together. And there are so many, just down the street from here, there's a motorcycle repair shop, and every day since the fire started, they have been out there under one of those pop-up tents, giving out water, making people hot dogs, and they put together these little personal hygiene bags for people who have been evacuated, who don't have the means to support themselves right now because they've been evacuated, so they're having to pay for, you know, eating their meals and whatever. And so many restaurants here are just giving away meals to people who have been evacuated or have lost their homes. All of the schools have pitched in. Almost every church around here has been pitching in and doing certain things for evacuations. One of the churches set up a huge American Ninja Warrior course for the kids because the air quality out here is dangerous. The smoke is so heavy, the ash is falling, the kids can't play outside. It's not safe in any stretch of the imagination. My kids have to wear masks to walk to our car to go grocery shopping. Wow. Because the air is so bad. And it says, you know, the news always tells you, please don't go outside if you have asthma because it's going to hurt you. So the kids haven't been able to play outside since Monday and last Monday. So they've got cabin fever big time. And so the church set up this huge American Ninja Warrior course, and they got 2 of the actual American Ninja Warrior contestants to come and run the course with the kids, and my kids got to go do it and got to meet them, and it's free. They just set it up for the community, so the kids have something to do indoor to get their energy out, and that was amazing. Yeah, and so there's a lot of that going on, just a lot of really great community support. A lot of businesses getting together and putting together backpacks full of school supplies for all of the kids who lost their homes so that they can go back to school with the supplies they need and not have to worry about replacing any of that stuff. So it's just things like that. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing to see.
You know, and that's great. Like I said, these kind of tragedies or any kind of tragedy, it tends to bring out what's really inside people, either the worst or the best. And it's great. I know you shared some stories that there are some people who are opportunists who are trying to milk the situation, who are trying to exploit it and take advantage of it for their own gain. And you know, I hope that those individuals in your area especially get marked and called out, because that, in my opinion, is grossly inappropriate. But for the most part, it sounds like people are truly bonding together, looking out for one another, and really that sense of community that apparently Shasta already had. The buildings may be gone, but the community is that much stronger, standing up for each other.
Yes, they've actually started a couple of hashtags. One is Reading Strong, and then the other is Shasta Strong, because we are all in the incorporated county of Shasta. And so it's, you know, this fire has touched, it's now moved into Trinity County. So now we're going to be, it's going to be a 2-county fire, but the bulk of the damage so far has been done in Shasta. But so many of our little offshoot towns have been affected. It was Shasta, Keswick, Shasta Lake City, Reading, Happy Valley, Igo, Platina, all these tiny little towns. Reading's the big one, but our incorporated area has a population of about 200,000. So, you know, upwards of 38,000 people were evacuated.
Wow.
So that's a big chunk of our community that are displaced. And then we've lost 1,200 homes. So that's 1,200 families that have lost their everything.
Wow. Well, I'm glad, again, I'm not meaning to sound heartless to everybody else who's suffering, because as you just cited, thousands of people are suffering. But you know, you're the only one of them that I actually know. And so I'm glad that you had a place to go, even if it's obviously a little compressed, a little more cramped, but I am glad that you and your family had a place to go. So that you at least have a roof over your heads for now, without having to, say, be living in a gymnasium or something, or, you know, wherever. You know, I'm glad for any centers or places where people can go to, but I am pleased that you're able to have a separate place of your own. So what aside from waiting for FEMA to do their thing, and aside from doing going back to work trying to earn money, what other next steps are you looking at doing? What else do you need support with?
We just are trying to figure out how. For one, we don't know what kind of assistance we're going to get from FEMA. We haven't had any questions answered as to how far they're going to help us. I mean, obviously it won't be as great as having actual insurance would have been. But for now, we are building my kids' dad, my ex-husband, an apartment in the garage. So that's our immediate thing is to give him somewhere, because he's been sleeping on the couch. To give him somewhere to live that is accessible, because he can't, that's the problem, is that he is disabled, and so he can't just go get a really crappy cheap apartment because they're not disabled accessible. And so we're going to build him a little thing, because it's probably going to be a while before we even get a chance to break ground. And if we don't get enough help, I'm going to have to take out a loan to rebuild. So we're just plugging along, doing the best we can, thinking about the future and trying to save as much money as humanly possible in case we don't get the help that we hope we get. I had just registered for college, so I start school on the 20th. So we're trying to gear up for that too, and see where that's going to fit in all of this. And my college is currently an evacuation center, so it's kind of a tricky situation.
Yeah, so it's amazing. Yeah, you're saying that, and I'm sitting there thinking, wow. I'm thinking about the domino effect. You don't really think about how, okay, well, because of this, then this, and then you can't do that, which causes this, which, yeah. I honestly, I'm glad that you're getting customers coming into the salon doing stuff with their, but there's a part of me that's surprised that people even have money to come in and do that. But or that they have time to. So I'm glad they're doing that, because I'm sitting there thinking, wow, where are your clients coming from even, and how many of them are dealing with either directly or indirectly the struggles related to these fires too. And it's I can't even fathom just how massive the impact of this is beyond just you.
Yeah, it's huge. My boyfriend works at a construction company, and already they're going to get completely and utterly slammed in the next couple of weeks here. Their business is going to boom, because obviously people are going to need to start building and fixing and repairing and all of that stuff. And they already, today he told me that they sold out of hard hats. They ordered another 100 and sold out before they even got them in, because the crews are getting ready to go in and start getting to work. So some industries will gain from this, and then some. My clientele has pretty much split in half, because so many people have been affected that they can't afford, don't have time, or aren't even in their homes. So my books, which were previously much busier, are now a lot leaner. And so I do encourage people, if you weren't horribly affected, please go out and continue to get your services, because the people in the service industry are really going to suffer. People are going to eat out less, so the wait staff is going to suffer, and things of that nature. And
well, plus these restaurants, you cited these wonderful restaurants that are doing a great job of giving meals to people who evacuated. That's fantastic. But, those restaurants, they actually need to make money too. And so they really then need people who weren't affected to show up and patronize them, so that they can still be making money to offset the generosity they're showing for those who can't afford to pay.
Yeah, exactly. I've been encouraging people, trying to get out of your house and keep using services that you normally use if you're able. If you're not, you're not. So don't stress on it. But if you're able, please continue to help the service industry, because we're the ones that are, and unfortunately, I wish I wasn't in the service industry right now, because like I said, my clientele is like split in half. My appointments are half of what I'm not used to getting, and this is the worst time for my appointment to split in half. So it's super tricky when you're in an industry where you aren't guaranteed your income. So that's scary and tricky in and of itself too. So it's everything, and we just have to pull together and try to make it work. And I super appreciate the clients that are staying and still getting their services, even though this time is so stressful. It's a lot. And I've gotten a lot of support from my clients. Like, they've just been so amazing because I had to move everyone because of the evacuation. So I had to text everyone in my phone. And, sorry, guys, I have to, my house is burning down. I'll see you next week.
Hopefully they were all understanding.
Oh, absolutely. I fill my books with good people. I'm very good about firing people who aren't the greatest. And when Brian had his stroke, that really, I had to go through and do a big call because some people were really awful about moving their appointments for his therapies. So I was like, you're going to have to find a new artist because you want to be around people who uplift you, not people who make you feel like a jerk for being a good person. So.
Well, good for you. It's good that you have standards beyond just how much you're paying me. So yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, Destiny, I won't keep you any longer. I know that you've got a lot going on right now. You got a lot on your mind. I appreciate you taking time to chat with me a bit and share your firsthand experience with what's going on there. And I'm sure I echo the sentiment of anybody watching that we hope that the fires are taken care of soon. FEMA can make its decision soon, and that you can find out exactly what's happening so you can make your decisions as soon as possible. But in the meantime, I again want to really emphasize, and I know that I may be laying it on heavy, but honestly, I don't care, that there are three ways that you can donate money to help Destiny and her family. And these are not things that are put together by some third-party entity that someone's peeling 50% off the top or whatever. These are all funds that the money is going directly to Destiny and her family. So please, whichever one you choose, or choose all three for that matter, but whichever you choose, please, and it doesn't matter if you can only give $10, $25, $50, whatever. If you can give more, if you can give 4 or 5 digit amounts, fantastic. But if everybody who is touched by these videos and by internet stuff gave just a little bit of money, it would make a huge difference in the life of this family. And so please, I hate sounding like one of those telethon shows you see at 2 a.m. in the morning on TV, but in this case, I genuinely believe in what I'm telling you. There are these options to help support this family. Destiny, as you've just heard from her own mouth, is a fantastic lady who has done tremendous support for so many other people. And we've only scratched the surface, honestly, of what I even know about what she's done. And so she is an impressive, fantastic person who has given a tremendous amount to her family, to her community, and to her clientele. And so I ask now that everybody who sees this, please take a moment and help. Just do something. Whatever that amount is, doesn't matter, $5, whatever. Just do something. Help them out. It will be very much appreciated. And Destiny, I really, again, I thank you. And I would love to be able to do another one of these with you down the road after we know some of these answers and you're able to tell us what's happening in the next phase and give us a much more positive outlook as to where the path goes.
Absolutely. I super appreciate all the support that you've shown and that everyone else in the community has shown. And any future donations or orders or anything of that nature, we are so appreciative. We don't expect anything, and we just appreciate everything we get. We're super thankful people, and we just want to rebuild our lives.
Yeah, in fact, let me also emphasize that here too, because I don't think either of us have these. I told you there are 3 funding options. These are not things that Destiny said, you know what, I'm going to set up these funding options because we need money. In fact, Destiny had to be talked into. In fact, I don't even think you set all of them up yourself. I think some people set some up, but still, I know that you were talked into setting them up. That you didn't really want to because you felt awkward doing it. You felt you. In fact, I don't remember verbatim the tweet that you said, but it was something to the effect of, with so many people who are affected by this, you felt a little awkward setting up things saying give you money, and totally understand that. But that's again indicative of the servant heart that you have. You're so busy thinking about everybody else that's suffering that it's so easy for you to not focus on please help me. But that's why I'm not asking you to say it. I'm saying it. Please help Destiny, because Destiny and her family, they need this assistance. And so please step up. Everybody talks about, why don't people do more for other people? Why don't people show more compassion for other people? Here's your chance. Literally put your money where your mouth is. Use one of those 3 options and help this family. It's all you got to do. It's all you got to do. And if you don't like the idea of just giving charity, then you know what? Destiny sells the bath soap stuff, and the address is there. Buy her product. That helps too. Okay? Everybody wins. All right, Destiny, I'm sorry, I got on my soapbox there a little bit. Hope you don't mind. Okay, so with that, Destiny, I'm gonna let you go. Is there anything else that you would like to say in closing?
No, you send as many positive vibes to this area as you can, because like I said, it's only 39% and it's about to hit another little town, and I just want everyone to have to stop suffering. So if you guys can, if the least you can do is send positive vibes, send them this way and get that fire out.
All right. Thank you very much, Destiny. Appreciate you taking time. I genuinely really do. Again, I know you've got a lot going on and a whole lot weighing on your mind right now. And just know that even those of us who are half a continent away, that we're thinking about you. You're heavy on our hearts as well. And you know, we're gonna try to do as much for you as we can. And I look forward to hearing very positive reports, hopefully in the very near future.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you so much, Paul.
All right. Well, with that, before you know, I start getting all teary-eyed and stuff, because honestly, I say that jokingly, but honestly, I can feel I'm on the verge. So before the waterworks begin, I'm gonna let you go. So I will say I'll see you all next time. Well, before I say the closing, I'm gonna just reiterate again. Please donate. And with that, I will see you next time from my front porch.